making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's do this, surfers. Good morning from paradise. Happy Monday, March 16th. My name's Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick, the Crypto Hitman. It is a glorious day to be here in the crypto markets, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin pumping day after day after day. Ethereum is up bigly. We got Michael Saylor buying over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Excuse me, my daughter's my daughter's communicating with me right now on the stream via this walkie-talkie. We got important stuff going on. Apologies, I got a sick daughter here today, but my point is this, folks. Everyone seems to be buying Michael Saylor, the ETFs, Tom Lee, and yet you still have random anonymous guy on X drawing lines on a chart telling you Bitcoin is going to $40,000. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Anyway, we're here for it. We're here for this bull market, folks. Nick, how was your weekend before we get into any charts, any analysis, any news?
Pretty good. I mean, it was pretty warm on Saturday. Went golfing, had to take the jacket off by the end of the 18. And then yesterday, we had that big storm come through, wind and tornado warnings and everything else. And now it's 24 degrees here in St. Louis. So how quickly things can change. 70-something degrees on Saturday, 24 degrees with the chance of snow later today. But, you know, good to see green candles while you're touching green grass. And we're going to look at the charts here today, and everything's playing out just like we said. You know, we saw that euphoric run on our last live show, getting above the moving averages. We said we could get rejected, which we did, and now we're to new highs here for the move for Bitcoin and Ethereum and others.
I'll tell you what, 73, 74,000 certainly feels a lot better than 68. Let's see how long this little run persists for. And my assumption is we'll have some corrections along the way, but I guess the big question for you, Nick, is do you feel like 60,000 was the bottom? We're basically up only from here because the bull market has in fact returned, or is this a bull trap? Is this a fake out and we actually are going back up lower? What's your thoughts on that before we dive into some more news?
I mean, I think if you're bullish or if you think the 4-year cycle or any of those things, you have to assume that 60K was low. If not, if you break that 60K low again, then you're going to head towards the traditional 40 to 45K target for the bears of the 4-year cycle, and I don't see that happening. We have a lot of macros coming. Remember, by the end of the month, we're hopefully going to have the Clarity Act. We're also looking at the SAVE Act being signed, which I think is bullish, and hopefully we get some kind of resolution to the Iran war. It looks like Saudi Arabia has already figured out a way. Even if the Strait of Hormuz is closed down, they are now shipping from the Red Sea a large portion of their oil. They've already figured that out, so that is a big diversion. The United States continues to drill, baby, drill. The refineries in Venezuela have turned back on, so I don't think oil is going to be what's going to slow down these risk-on assets either. So let's see how this all plays out. I really hope the 60K low was in because that means that the 4-year cycle bears have been left with a lot of cash in their hands, and they still know about Bitcoin, they still know about crypto, and they'll be buyers at some point.
They'll be buying back in, maybe at 80, maybe at 90, maybe at 100. I don't know when they'll come back, but they will. The market's changed from the previous cycles, guys. I don't know why that's so hard to wrap your heads around if you're a bear. We never had ETFs before. We never had any institutional money before. We never had Michael Saylor before. We didn't have Stretch before. Michael Saylor just bought $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin like this morning. And that was in addition to the $1-something billion he bought last week. So the market's changed. I don't think we're going to all of a sudden break down below, you know, even 70. Maybe we'll get by high 60s, but I don't think we're hitting 60 again. That's for damn sure. My guess, Iran war resolves itself 1 to 2 weeks. Oil prices continue to fall. Risk assets pump. Maybe you can pull up some of that good data around how markets perform post-oil shocks and post-wars. Pretty encouraging stuff.
Real quick, let's see.
And give me 1 sec as I tend to my sick daughter, folks. See, I'm I'm multitasking out here.
Yeah, first let's look at the charts. This is what we've been talking about. We're talking about the consolidation between the 200 moving average, wanting it to round up, which we are getting, and cross through the red 300 moving average from the bottom. We got the consolidation. This was the breakout we were talking about, saying, hey, you know, it's coming on a big wick. It could reset, but we still look for it to break out to the upside. Well, what happened? It reset, and now we are breaking out to the upside with a new high for the move here for Bitcoin. This is a very bullish structure. Now, you are overbought on this RSI here, which means you need some kind of settling, at least a consolidation for this to settle down. But you do have room on the technometer, meaning you can still have euphoria FOMO going on to get above the 75K mark and beyond, have another blow off top, and then a reconsolidation. Maybe back at 73,000. Maybe the consolidation is all the way back at 72. Nonetheless, this is great for the bulls. Ethereum, very similar chart. Consolidation around this white line we've had here for months in between the moving averages. Moving averages is rounding. Again, want to see the yellow cross the red from below for a bullish MA cross. We saw the wick here rejected, and now we are breaking out to the upside to $2,300 as news that SharpLink Gaming, or Bitminer actually, Thomas Lee from Bitminer just bought more Ethereum for the first time in quite a while, spurring some FOMO. We will talk about the strategic reserves here shortly as well. And Coinbase back above $200 per share, up 2.99%, as the Nasdaq is up 1.27% today. The S&P 500 is also up today as well, and the Dow is up 0.98%. So green days for traditional markets, green days for crypto markets, and a red day for oil. That's what we like to see.
That's what we like to see, guys. My only question for you, Nick, is whether your investments into Bitmine and SharpLink Gaming are finally in the green. Because I know you made those investments a couple months ago. Are you up yet? I think you will be up over time. I'm not worried because those things move along with the crypto assets, which are clearly going up over the next 6, 12 months. But are you in the green on that investment?
Let's see here. From the first buys, yes. From the big buys that we did here on the live show when I did a major rotation, I am down $1 per share on Bitmine, and I'm down $1.20 per share on SBET on the big buys. So while the doom and gloom, while everybody thinks everything's going to zero, oh my God, Ethereum is only $2,000, those major investments are down $1 to $1.25 per share. So what happens to those when Ethereum is back at 4,000, even 3,000? Much rather $10,000 or $15,000 per ETH.
Yeah, not bad at all, given we just went through, the biggest war in the Middle East in generation. Not bad considering all the FUD, the 4-year cyclists, everything we've been through in the crypto markets, October 10th, everything. So, glad to hear you're not too much in the red. I'm sure you'll be in the green very soon. Yeah, I'm encouraged to see the overall markets, NASDAQ, S&P, clearly up today, big time. Good to see that. Oil's down. We did predict this was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to be the result of just the markets waking up to the realization this war is going to be short-lived and oil isn't going to $1 million a barrel, or whether it was going to be Donald Trump coming out and saying, hey, the war is in fact over, we've won, and we're calling it a victory, whatever. We haven't gotten to that phase yet. That will happen soon enough. But oil well below 100 feels good, and the risk assets are pumping. Feels great.
Yeah, let's look at that data you're talking about. We can see oil here, 93.87. I saw Mr. Wonderful talking about recessions are driven by oil prices above $90 for 3 months straight. So obviously we have a long way for that to go. And right now we do see this drop in oil from close to $100 a barrel over the weekend again, down to 93 here on the Monday open. Before we get into the data, we got Wyckoff Stock Market Institute. Smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Roan, my afternoon coffee and crypto paradise stream. Thanks, guys. Opposite end of the world because we're just waking up here. AJ West saying good morning, and Miko Chapo saying happy Monday, CP crew. Green candles and the normal faces in the chat box, so happy to see you. Once we start winning, you start winning as well. Understand that the most active people in this community, when we do giveaways, end up winning those giveaways. Just so you know, that's how it works. And we've had plenty of people in the community win hundreds and thousands of dollars over the months, even kind of really during a bear market. We didn't have much of a bull market, and we still gave away thousands of dollars.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I know Miko Chapo's won money, Roan's won money.
Dovahkiin's won money. Ain't it true?
I mean, we're trying our best to continue with the airdrops, continue with the rewards. Has been difficult when the channel itself and the business itself, Crypto Paradise, hasn't been making much in the way of income. But if my prediction's correct and we are mirroring the 2019 into 2020 cycle more than any other cycle, March was the moment everything turned around in 2020. The Fed ended QT in 2019, just as it ended QT in the end of 2025. But things didn't really start to pump until March of 2020. I don't know if we get the same kind of COVID-induced, stimulus pump. I doubt we get to those levels. That was a once-in-a-generation sort of moment, but the ISM is expanding. The Fed is doing non-QE QE. They will end up cutting rates, I believe, when the new head of the Fed comes in, Kevin Warsh, in May. So yeah, if 2020 is any guide, we're going to have plenty of money to play around with here relatively soon to give away to folks like Martin, Meek Chapo, etc.
We got Phil Rosen here. The S&P 500 averages plus 14.2% in the 12 months after a geopolitical shock dating back to the Korean War. Bulls have a dominant track record when it comes to rebounding from uncertainty. History favors the optimist. We always say that really, if you're in the traditional market, you're hoping for a 10% annual return. And here you go, an average of 14.2% after geopolitical shocks when people say that everything's going to zero.
This is why you just have to be in the markets for a long period of time. You can't get shaken out. Don't let the bears and the panicins and mainstream media fool you into thinking that the world is coming to an end. World War III is here. Sell everything. If you watch enough mainstream media, if you watch enough CNN, if you read enough New York Times, not only would you think World War III was near, you would think the U.S. is losing this war. And you might be induced to selling your assets because God knows what scary thing is happening over in the Middle East right now. That would be a terrible mistake. History has proven that these shocks, obviously temporary, risk off, temporary selling, but then they come ripping and roaring back once the thing ends. This will be no different, guys. And my guess is we may even beat that 12% average with everything Trump's got cooking up and all the other bullish catalysts on the horizon. We may well beat that 12% average over the next 12 months. I wouldn't be surprised if the S&P's up like 15 to 20% over the next year if everything goes according to plan.
Yeah, I think you have a good chance of beating the average just based off the price performance that we've seen out of stocks under Trump. In his first term and really the second term, after the tariff flood, look what we did. Not only did we do a full V-shaped recovery, we went to new all-time highs 52 times or something like that. The guy's only been in office for 365 days, and we went to 52 new all-time highs on the stocks after surging down to the downside. Where everybody said we were going to zero, and Tim Waltz was making fun of Elon and Tesla stock price and all that. Massive V-shaped recovery, recovered all those massive losses, and then put in new all-time highs 52 times. So here we go. History suggests oil shocks are buying opportunities as well. So not only do we have the geopolitical shock, we've also had the oil shock. Over the last 40 years, the S&P 500's 12-month return following a 2-day oil spike of plus 20% has been 24%. This is how you could beat that average of 14, because the average for oil shocks is 24. In 6 out of 7 instances since 1986, the S&P 500 has been higher 1 year after such an oil spike. The strongest recovery has been plus 54% following the 2020 pandemic crash, driven by a massive stimulus response from central banks and governments. The only negative outcome was negative 11% during the 2008 financial crisis. Put differently, every oil shock over the last 40 years that did not lead to a prolonged recession was followed by a strong rally. Oil shocks are historically brief and provide long-term buying opportunities. Do you think that this oil shock will be another massive opportunity? And the reason I think yes is you really don't have the financial crisis at home. You have the Fed still, yes, they ended QT, but they're not really doing QE. You have the interest rates up still very high that can be cut, and you have the hint at stimulus checks, whether it's in tax rebates, tax refunds, whatever it is, still coming into play here in 2026, which could fuel a rebound rally after this oil uncertainty.
This time will not be different. This time will not. We may even beat those marks, although 24% is pretty incredible over 12 months on the S&P 500. So I don't know if we'll beat that. But in any event, we're looking really good, guys. I'm sick and tired of people betting against Donald Trump. I know in the near term some of his decisions look like head scratchers, but the fact of the matter is he knows more than you do. He has more information than you do. He has smarter people around him than you do. He is smarter than most people out there himself. Why are we still betting against this guy? Remember when all the tariff FUD dropped? Okay, tariffs, oh no, or global economy is going to zero. You know, all this the Tim Walz bullshit you're talking about. The deficit's been cut in half. The trade deficit's been cut in half. And when there was no geopolitical turmoil, look at the stock market. It was printing all-time highs almost every other day. Then we had a little bit of Greenland FUD. Then we had some Iran war fears, and the stock market's consolidating a bit here. But if you just step back from any of the geopolitical stuff and you just let Trump cook economically at home, how are you going to bet against this guy, man? At this point, foolishness.
Let's see what else we got here. What's the next direction we want to take the show? Just making sure there's no more stats up here on the headline. And then we'll go into why are we seeing the rally. Now, why are we seeing the rally, Crypto Amaru? Obviously, we have a couple pieces we want to pull up. We know Michael Saylor is back buying. We talked about that on Friday. Well, we know that Thomas Lee is back buying. I kind of hinted at that in the opening monologue. But is there any other reason why Bitcoin and Ethereum are rallying? Were they just oversold? Is the war coming to a conclusion? Is the Clarity Act closer than people know? And we do get the Clarity Act before the end of Q1 2026, like we've been predicting now for 3, 4, 5, 6 months or something like that. It was last year when QT was ending that we were talking about wanting the Clarity Act signed by the end of Q1 2026. And we are getting closer and closer by the day, as there is a vote for the SAVE Act happening this Wednesday. And then the next course of action is immediately the Clarity Act.
All the above? Can I answer all the above? Well, here's what's been interesting about this rally, right? So over the past, say, 12, 24 months, Bitcoin has been mirroring NASDAQ pretty closely. Correlation has been very strong. Bitcoin, more or less viewed as a tech stock by investors. This is what that means. But then something very interesting happened since the Iran war came into effect here. And that is Bitcoin decoupled from NASDAQ, decoupled from S&P, decoupled from even gold. And Bitcoin is the best performing asset since the war started, the best performing major asset. Wow, what a head scratcher. What does it all mean? I don't know. I mean, some people may tell you that Bitcoin is now being viewed of as something different than a tech stock. Maybe it is the digital gold that we've all been looking for and wanting for so many years. But I have a simpler answer. Bitcoin at $70,000 is extremely undervalued. And there are enough savvy investors who understand this, who have money, they have capital to allocate, they're long-term bulls, and they're loading up the dip. I don't think it has to be more complicated than that. It was just oversold as fuck. People saw an opportunity to buy Bitcoin really, really cheap, especially compared to, you look at gold, you look at SP, you look at all these things are basically at all-time highs. And they decided to buy the dip. Simple as that.
We got here, the biggest names are buying. This is the information that was breaking. Strategy MSTR buys 22,337 Bitcoin for $1.57 billion. They now hold 56 billion worth of Bitcoin. What's interesting about that is this is right around what is average when they bought it. But he did share over the weekend a bigger orange dot, so people knew that it was a big buy coming in, and it was $1.57 billion. But I thought MicroStrategy was going to have to sell all the Bitcoin. I thought it was going to zero. I thought they had debt obligations. They were going to get leverage, liquidated. Oh, that's not how they had any of their debt facilitated. That's not how their Bitcoin strategic reserve works. All that headline, all that hoopla, all of these influencers are wrong and don't know what they're talking about. But you clicked it, you watched it, and you fed the machine. Well, there you go. You were wrong, and now they're buying not only 1.57 billion for Strategy, but they've been buying hundreds of millions for their new product as well.
We've been on this for a while now. The Stretch product, STRC, sort of their fixed income, high dividend paying product. It's really been sucking up an incredible amount of capital, which is then in turn being used to buy Bitcoin. This product has been probably his most successful, maybe even more so than MSTR. Honestly, it's very fascinating product. It's designed to always stay at $100 per share. You invest in this essentially fixed income instrument, and you then get paid an 11.5% annual dividend, paid monthly, tax free. To all the investors on Wall Street who are now not able to withdraw from their private credit fund, they would have dreamed to get 11.5% annual returns. Do you think that money starts flowing in? Do you think a lot of the pension funds, the 401ks, the big money, they're looking at this stuff, man?
Well,
I think this is a huge underappreciated aspect of the bull run here and the reversal to 74,000. Just Stretch and Michael Saylor buying literally $2 billion he's bought over the past few weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, those dividend-paying yield stocks or assets usually have a lower upside potential. And when you're looking at Stretch or MicroStrategy or any of these that we're talking about, the Ethereum B, the ETF that pays the dividend as well, it's like, wow, when the FOMO kicks on and the green candles kick in, these institutional players can be like, holy cow, I got massive upside in these assets. Meanwhile, it's paying out massive APR. And with Stretch, it can actually increase the APR if Bitcoin price is going up. So I think it's going to continue to suck up capital. If it's doing this well with Bitcoin and Ethereum prices down here, really doing nothing, just consolidating, what happens when you have FOMO, when you have retail mania, when you have interest really coming back to the crypto markets? I think they can explode. That's another reason why I like BMNR, why I like SharpLink Gaming. They're producing passive yield, and they're going and buying more Ethereum. The flywheel clicks on when more people are FOMOing into the markets, and there's green candles on these underlying assets. For them to be holding these price points with really all the doomers out, all the 4-year cyclists saying we're going another 25% lower, it's pretty impressive, and I think it should open your eyes to what happens if Bitcoin and Ethereum price do grow and go to new all-time highs over the course of this year and maybe even next year.
The way I look at it is, there's essentially infinite capital in the world, right? The total value of all liquid assets, something like $300 trillion. Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset, right? So tremendous upside. We still are in inning like 2 of this game, if we call Bitcoin. So massive upside here. It just takes more Michael Saylor. You just pulled up the MetaPlanet one. I know Jack Mallers' Strike is looking to accumulate a bunch of Bitcoin. You're going to have more of these companies coming online. You add to the fact that nation states are still accumulating, will continue to accumulate more, will come online to buy more. This train is not slowing down with Bitcoin. I don't think it's slowing down with ETH either. You have, obviously, Bitmain. I'm glad you pulled up the story, but there's many other companies doing the same. And when that flywheel starts, when the price starts skyrocketing and pumping, outperforming everything else, that's when the FOMO kicks in. You can see more companies come online, more big investors, more institutions. And these things are just so damn undervalued. We could easily be at $10,000 ETH by the end of the year, folks.
Yeah, we haven't talked about anybody buying ETH in quite a while. That's because SharpLink Gaming really hasn't been buying, just silently compounding. Bitminer hasn't been buying, just silently compounding. And now they are buying. Bitmain buys another 60,999 ETH worth $140 million. We also have a new player here, Shapeshift founder Eric Voorhees buys $56 million worth of Ethereum on-chain, analysts say. And we haven't pulled up this website in forever. That's because nobody's been buying. The Strategic ETH Reserve, nobody's really been buying, but nobody's really been selling either. But last month, February 16th, Aave DAO bought 4.5K. Then we just see Bitmain buying 3 times in a row. And then, of course, we know they bought just now as well. Bitmain up 4.8% in the last 30 days, but they're still only 75% of their target. Remember, they want to buy 6 million ETH. They only have 4.53 million ETH. SharpLink Gaming hasn't bought any, but they're only 14% of the target. They also want 6 million ETH. Who else has been buying here? Here's an interesting one, Coinbase. Up 1.7%. Why does that matter? Because that shows you they still have interest in wanting to accumulate not only Bitcoin, but also accumulate more Ethereum for their company strategic reserve. And that's important right now because they are going to be getting more AUM from BlackRock and their new Ethereum spot ETF, which means that they are utilizing some of these AUM fees that they're charging these institutional investors to buy and hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other crypto assets. So when retail comes back, Coinbase will be a buyer. And the only seller on this whole list, look at all these potential buyers of Ethereum when FOMO comes back and liquidity comes back to the market. The only seller, last 30 days, Ethereum Foundation. I don't understand it. I don't get it. How do you blow through so much money? But they sold 8.7% down on their Ethereum Foundation position of Ethereum. We also know that Vitalik Buterin himself sold something like $2 million worth of ETH, which isn't as meaningful. He needs a salary. But why is the foundation still selling at the doldrums of the market conditions?
Yeah, saw that news story, but could be worse. Definitely could be worse. That what they did with their last sell, they sold it directly to Thomas Lee. They sold it to Bitmine directly, $10 million worth of Ethereum. We don't have that story pulled up, but it's a fact. They sold it over the counter to Tom Lee, $10 million worth of ETH. Do I think they're selling too much? Yes. Do I think they need all that money? No. There's like something like 350 active devs building on Ethereum right now, less than there were a few years ago. But I guess they got to pay those salaries somehow. I do like the new direction of Ethereum in general. They just put out a kind of a mission statement saying we are sticking to our cypherpunk roots, decentralized, permissionless, for a chain for the people, so to speak, not just for, degens and gamblers and, Wall Street types. We're actually building something that's future-proofed for the next 100 years. I like that. I'm still bullish on that overall mission statement. Happy they sold it some OTC. But yeah, it would be nice to see what would happen to the price if they could hold on and not sell for like 6 months to a year.
Or get it all staked and then use the staking rewards as salaries and then pay those salaries out in Ethereum. And if each individual chooses to sell that Ethereum, they can do so. Think about how much less selling pressure that creates and how much less FUD. First of all, you're producing it from passive income, so you're not selling your whole. Second of all, you're paying your employees in ETH, which means that not all employees sell, and if you assume that all employees have to sell, they won't be selling at the same time. It's spread out against many, many wallets, and then now you don't have that FUD headline. But hey, who am I? I also told Richard Hart to be doing that. He bought billions of dollars worth of ETH, told him to stake it. He didn't want third-party risk, and over the course of the year and a half where Ethereum was up and down, he would have made hundreds of millions of dollars in passive income. That could have been used to pump the chain. But again, you have that risk there, apparently. They didn't want to do it. So they're not doing it, and we'll see how it all plays out. New high for Bitcoin off the move, 74,500. Now 74,400. I like to see green candles while we are live. Now, another thing we were talking about is, will there ever be another meme season? Which memes will lead the way? And are you interested in any of the large cap memes the remainder of this cycle? Both of us kind of said, hey, we think there's going to be another meme season. We think there's opportunity, but we don't love the large cap memes. But Pepe had something else to say about it. Pepe leads the top 100 cryptocurrencies with the biggest 24-hour gain. This was posted today at 4 a.m. Looked like Pepe was up 16.53% in the past 24 hours. The green frog is back. Will it surpass the likes of all the dogs that we love? Doge, Floki, Shiba Inu? What's going on here?
We told you last week this is what was going to happen. We said when you start to see sustained green candles on Bitcoin and Ethereum, what are the first altcoins that are going to run? And what does it all mean? We told you Pepe. We told you Doge. We told you SHIB. Bonk is there. We were big on Bonk when that dropped a few years ago, weren't we? This is what happens when the market shifts from bearish to bullish. Memes pump first. Memes pump first. The big caps particularly start to pump first, and that's going to cycle down slowly but surely into the trenches. So this is incredibly positive, guys. If we didn't see this run on Pepe, I might be a little bit concerned, like, maybe the meme coin super cycle isn't a thing. Maybe they won't come back. But no, just as sure as, the sun sets and rises every single day, when the market starts to pump, memes are the first to go. Wow, what a great thing to see. So excited about that. Happy for anyone who owns Pepe. These gains will trickle down into your low caps. They'll trickle down into meme coin trenches. I promise you that, guys. As long as Bitcoin and Ethereum starts, this uptrend is sustained, we could be in for a really exciting next 3, 6, 12 months.
Shout out to Darius7929. Amaru and Hitman are killing it as always. Great show, guys. Welcome back, Darius. Moonmutt in the house. Good morning, everybody. And talking about small caps, here we go. We got two things to talk about. Any markets, we've been talking about them and their market they've been launching over here. Weather markets are now live. We talked about sports markets being live, crypto markets being live, and now weather markets are live. You can now create your own prediction markets for weather events on any markets, including max and min temperature, wind speed, and precipitation. Choose your city, set the time frame, and launch your market in seconds. I don't really want to bet on weather, but I know there's people out there who do. In my city, St. Louis, I don't think you would ever want to bet on weather because, like we said at the beginning of the show, 72 and sunny on Saturday, nearly a tornado on Sunday, and now here on Monday it's 24 degrees with a chance of snow. I don't know how you bet on that or how you predict that. That is some wild fluctuations. More volatility in the St. Louis weather market than there is in the crypto market.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Any Markets. Hold on one sec. Hold on, Mia. I'll be right down. My daughter's sick. I'm just communicating with her on a walkie-talkie. Another Monday here in Crypto Paradise. Shout out to Any Markets, by the way. We got to get our bet up there. I should have made that bet last week that Bitcoin is not dropping below $60,000 in the next 2 months. We need to make that bet, Nick. We got to figure it out. Hold on, I'll be right back.
You got to connect that Crypto Paradise wallet and get those bets going live on Any Markets so you guys can either join us or bet against us. The other thing that we've been talking about is the launch of this project here, Smart Sentinels. And here we go. AI just leveled up on Crypto Paradise. Our Telegram now has a Smart Sentinels powered AI agent. Ask about trends, coins, predictions. Get insights from AI that actually works on chain. Early alpha access for our Telegram fam, tailored to our community. It's not hype, it's utility, and you can interact with it. So what are you waiting for? Join us free at our Telegram right here, X Crypto Paradise, and see how Smart Sentinels is powering the next wave of AI and crypto. Test it out. See if you think it is worth any value, because remember, Smart Sentinels is launching their token there, a micro-capped AI agent project over on the BNB chain. One we like, one we will be supporting, and one that is coming soon. And here is a chance to get a sneak peek of one of their many products live in the Crypto Paradise Telegram. So join, test it, and see if it's worth your investment.
Yeah, man, Smart Sentinels. I wanted to show this because you guys know, obviously, we're part of Pools now, the big launch pad. We're helping lead Pools now into the next phase of its growth. Pools just opened up Pools Ventures. One of the first projects Pools Ventures is backing is Smart Sentinels. Why did I want to share this? There was a project last cycle whose main product was essentially this: a Telegram, an AI-driven Telegram chatbot. The name of that project's escaping me right now. But that project went to like 100 million market cap. It was just that single product. Smart Sentinels, this is just like one of the 20 things that they're tech enabled. You can get involved with Smart Sentinels, guys. This is the exciting time in crypto. I think this is when we start reallocating capital and investing in the seed rounds. What say you, Nick? We're bringing out the seed round for Smart Sentinels. It's 2 million FDV. It's going to be launching at a 10 million FDV. That's your 5X right there. Small $50,000 round just to get things off the ground for these guys. I'm really excited for that one. It's giving me vibes. Remember ChainGPT? Super small $50,000 seed raise we got involved with. Remember DeadPrez? $50,000 seed. Even ARCX, which sadly didn't survive the bear market. All of those did anywhere between 5 to 100 times our seed round price. I'm getting those kind of vibes from Smart Sentinels. So we're looking forward to bringing that one out to market. Crypto Paradise DAO members will get involved. Pools Council members will be able to get involved. And this is just one of their products, man. Just one of their many products. This thing could do very well this cycle as AI and AI agents is a very hot narrative.
Yeah, just make sure you have your 200,000 surf or more to be in the DAO to get that opportunity. And buy your PoolX tokens as well to get that opportunity. This could be a really good storm for Smart Sentinels, and the Crypto Paradise community. Getting in the seed round. I know liquidity is drained. I know dry powder isn't really available yet. It's hard to find the dry powder for the best opportunities early in the bull markets. That's the way it works. And that's why some of these and the timing works out so well. Launching into the uptrend versus the downtrend, getting into a hot narrative of AI, which we saw on Friday was a big outperformer. And then, of course, being on BNB Chain, where CZ himself says that new AI projects need to come to the fray. Nothing really good exists yet. And here is Smart Sentinels looking to launch into that as well.
Yeah, man, bullish on these guys. We got a lot of really great projects we're bringing out to the market here through Pools Ventures. We just announced another one, or Pools announced another one called Noya Network. We'll be having the founder on for an interview, I believe, tomorrow. So that'll be coming out later this week. Get to know about Noya. I'm just excited for like the market to come back, projects to be launching, people to be investing in stuff. We'll be able to talk about different projects, get our, hands dirty, learning about some new tech, trying some new products. It was a long, I don't want to know if I want to call that a crypto winter, but it was at least 6 months of nothing really happening from a low cap standpoint, and it was getting pretty annoying. So I'm glad that seems to be over.
We got Cookie Dev in the chat talking about Smart Sentinels, X Crypto Paradise, 3 rocket ships. Let's go. Hopefully that is a fruitful partnership, but also fruitful for the Crypto Paradise family. Again, it is going to be hard to raise funds because people don't believe the bull market is here. They don't have dry powder sitting around. They don't have extra liquidity. They haven't been winning on altcoin trades to roll it into something else. But those who do scrounge up some liquidity and get into Smart Sentinels have a great opportunity. He also said Smart Sentinels doesn't just have the AI Telegram bots, but also has audit services, healthcare services, tons of AI use cases that will generate rewards. And hopefully some of that revenue goes towards the token economics of the token itself, buying burns, buying LP ads, whatever it may be. Because in order for prices to go higher, it's all about supply and demand and transparency in crypto. When the supply shrinks and demand grows, that's when prices soar.
Yes, in order to earn the rewards, I believe you need to stake a certain amount of the tokens, hold a certain amount of tokens, and hold one of their NFTs, right? So, and actually, seed round investors are going to get free NFTs if they participate in that. But I remember, look, this reminds me of, going back to the Dead Prez days, Chain GPT. We had a lot of big winners after the 2022 bear market. Capital was dry then. Maybe not as dry as it is now, but it was pretty damn dry. We were all pretty broke. And so what we did is when we were helping projects and advising projects, we advised them to create token economics that were bear market friendly, investor friendly. Here, I know you want to raise 2 million, 5 million, Mr. Project. Well, you're going to have to get by on 1 mil, right? And I know you want to raise a 400,000 seed round, but you're going to get by with $50,000 seed round. It's because that's the amount that we can raise. And so we go ahead and raise that. They eventually raise more, get to the point, launch the token. But the token economics were so good, it was so undervalued relative to their fundamentals. That's when you get the big upside. It can do 100 times, right? That's really, if you're in the pre-sale world, like we've been in for 6-7 years, that's really the name of the game. You want to find undervalued projects with good products, good token utility, good team that are launching at tiny market caps. That's how you do it.
We got Martin Max King saying, how is ProveX looking today? So let's start off with Pulse Chain as a whole.
Yeah.
We saw big red candles on Pulse Chain after the ProveX launch because there was a lot of FUD around it, but it has rebounded with the rest of the market. Pulse up 5.5%, Pulse X up 6%, Ink up 6.29%, and Hex up 1.36%. This is all driven by the ProveX launch. It started at near zero valuation straight up, and what do you think happened? It went straight down. Some early snipers got involved, and they were taking advantage of it. Oh my gosh, ProveX is a total failure. It's going to zero. What is Richard Hart thinking? And since then, price has settled out. And what do you know? The market capitalization is at $83.54 million. The product is going live, and the token economics are benevolent once again. As more information comes out, it shows that the utilization of the product itself buys and burns ProveX. It supports PLS price and, of course, spurs more volume on the PulseX decentralized exchange, which does what? Buys and burns PulseX. So let's see how much of a success it will be. We're still in bear market times for altcoins. We'll see what kind of utilization the platform gets, but it's tied to the rest of the Pulse Chain blue chips and provides value to those as well. Now, I will say there is more of a strategy here where the largest liquidity pools are not with the blue chips, tying it to those prices, but actually with stable coins, allowing ProveX to have a little bit of a life of its own.
I'm rooting for ProveX, man. I want to see the token do well. I want to see investors do well, and who sacrificed, got into the pre-sale, so to speak. I want to see them do well. But the product needs to get adoption. I was doing some research yesterday on the product, and the concept is cool. Okay, every transaction can be decentralized, essentially. You can even cash out your fiat with no middleman. That's what it's promising, right? But I want to see actual traction. I want to see proof that people are using it, that the tech works, etc. So let's see it get to that point. But very promising from kind of a narrative standpoint, and the problem is it may solve. But I will say this. The timing on the launch I mean, Richard Hart doesn't always get it right, but I think he got that one right. The
Right,
timing
those are-
seems damn good on this launch, honestly. It launched like right as Bitcoin and ETH are seemingly turning around and breaking out of a 6-month downtrend. So hopefully the rising tide lifts this boat, so to speak. Hopefully product is great, gets a lot of traction. Like you mentioned, every transaction on ProveX I think burns, like buys and burns 2% or something, or there's a 2% buy and burn, something like that. So the token economics look great. Is this the product that finally gets Pulse Chain back into the good graces of everyone in crypto, or is everyone just still too salty about Richard Hart in general?
I think the timing is really good for it, and I think, like you said, you need more products and stuff to try to catch the attention to get people to onboard into Pulse Chain. Remember, when we got involved in Pulse Chain and what sent it higher and getting more liquidity on there was really PTGC and some of those other projects, because there was like 4 or 5 of them that we were buying and trading. All of them were mooning, and that's how we got liquidity from Crypto Paradise community in the Learn Crypto community into Pulse Chain, which helped the entire chain. We're all still way up on PTGC. Then we actually launched our own surf at 11,000 market cap, even after the doldrum, the sell-off, and PLS going to new all-time lows. What do you know? Surf was still 10x from the launch price. So you need new products to onboard new liquidity, and then you need that liquidity to gravitate towards altcoins and products that are benevolent, meaning they have buy and burns, they have LP ads, they have self-generated revenues that go towards buying the token, because that's going to help keep those people on Pulse Chain, keep those people making money, and keep those people growing their liquidity base to get involved and chase other gainers as well.
Yeah, what I like about Pulse Chain is sort of an asymmetric bet. It's, you need a number of different things to go right for it to really moon, but it is undervalued. It's very low cap for L1. I like having it as a part of a diversified portfolio, just as I like having Mellow as a part of a diversified portfolio. I'm glad Roan made this little comment here. Pepe first, absolutely low cap memes later. I doubled my Mellow bag at 65K, now at 125. Dev is cooking. Absolutely, guys. Mellow, one of our favorite memes from, 1 to 2 years ago. Shout out to Phil. What a beast. Fought through so much adversity. I mean, even personal stuff, health-wise. The founder over there has been through a lot, and I think he's finally found product market fit with the trading system that he's built. He's seemingly cracked a bit of a code there when it comes to trading. So he's been building out that product. It seems to be working very well. It's kind of a signals sort of trading product, you could say. So he's providing these setups and chart analysis and TA and trade setups to the community over there in Mellow. It's going to be incorporating the Mellow token. It is a Matt Fury meme as well. So look, Pepe's running. Matt Fury obviously maybe coming back too, which would be great to see. $125,000 market cap presently, and its all-time high was 16 mil. I still have a huge bag myself. Shout out to Phil. Still working very hard, been through a lot. But this is so fun, isn't it? Talking about low cap gems again? God, it's been way too long.
Talking about memes, how about the king of memes in traditional markets? I told you I was going to talk about this. I can't believe I waited this long on the show, so if you're still here, shout out to you. That is GameStop. Remember, we had 2 buys at the exact lows of GameStop on the lower end of this consolidation range, up 10% currently. But why I want to show this to you is you still have a very low RSI indicator. You're not overbought on the technometer. You're sitting in between this multi-month and almost a year-long consolidation range while we're up on our investment. If you did not get in on these buys, maybe there's a setup here as we have broken back above the moving averages. We're sitting on that support. So your risk to reward ratio is this. Downside risk, $19. Upside, objective, and overhead resistance, $33. That's a great risk to reward ratio. But beyond that, this big accumulation has occurred for GameStop, and they continue to impress. They're sitting on a butt ton of cash, a butt ton of Bitcoin, and they're still relevant when it comes to the pop culture markets. So if crypto turns back on, when meme season comes back, I think GameStop is still your TradFi play that's going to make gains. And the fact that it survived Iran war, crypto doomsday, Ethereum sell-off, and we're still up 10% on that, and we're sitting in this multi-month, year-long consolidation range. I like the risk to reward ratio. Even if you want to do it for a trade and sell at 33 with downside risk of 19 with a profit or a stop down here at $19, I think that's a great trade. But I think, after being rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, the next run up here to $33 could be the breakout point towards $50. That would be a hell of a trade for a traditional asset, and one that is going to be fun along the way, as GameStop will provide those memes, those laughs, and that means that Ethereum itself is doing well.
Bro, if GameStop pumps to $50, we are so back. The trenches are going to be on fire. Reddit's going to be on fire. Roaring Kitty's going to be making videos again and bull posting. I mean, it's going to be like 2021 all over again. I don't know if we get to those heady heights of 2021 because I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that level of stimulus from the Fed. But I think we are slowly getting back to at least some degree of, let's call it mania. Let's just call it mania. It might be coming back here in the next few months. We need ISM to continue to break out. We need the Fed to cooperate, QE to start a couple rate cuts. But man, this could be the start of something real fun once we see GameStop trenches back firing all cylinders.
Well, we talk about macros, and let's just add GameStop to the macros. Look at the timing of the earnings and revenue report. It is on the very last day of March, Tuesday, March 31st. We've been talking about potential interest rate cuts, which look unlikely, but there's other things that we want to happen by the end of March, from Clarity Act to SAVE Act to the end of the Iran war to tariff rebate checks to tax refund checks. And now let's just add the meme king itself, the earnings report on March 31st. Will they beat earnings? I sure hope so, but it's more about what will be the atmosphere around that earning reports. Will there be memes? Will there be fun? Will Roaring Kitty come back? And what will Ethereum and Bitcoin markets look like at that time? If they are green like they are right now, the fun could begin here by the end of Q1 2026, and then all the macros come into play. Because remember, it's not just about the macros and the wars and the seriousness and the financial data. It's also about the vibes. Vibes drive retail market participants, and when the vibes are good, just like you said, when GameStop vibes are good, it trickles down to traditional markets, and then it trickles into crypto, collectibles, and risk-on assets. It's all a game of vibes in the simulation of the world that we live in right now.
Vibes are strong right now, folks. Vibes are feeling good. We're vibing out here on Crypto Paradise. Thanks for everyone tuning in, joining up. If you're watching on X, drop a comment. What project do you want to hear us evaluate and maybe even shill? Give us your take on the market. Are you guys bullish around this pump? Do you think this pump is going to sustain, or is it a fake out? We want to hear from you guys, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, whether you're tuning in on X. We appreciate you jumping in. What other stories do we have today here, Nick, if anything?
I guess, when do you think the Paradise pumps come back? Remember, there's been plenty of times in history over the past decade with us being in the crypto markets in which we've been very right about the markets. They call me Nickstradamus. You've been early many times with Ferrum Network, the launchpad over there, pools, Crypto Paradise, to when you make a call, not only do the market participants in our groups get involved, driving momentum and price appreciation in the asset itself, but then that starts trickling into the actual fundamentals that we are giving the heads up on, which leads to quick 2x's, 3x's, 5x's, 10x's on these altcoins. When do Paradise pumps come back? When does the Learn Crypto pump from the Discord come back? Does that happen early in the alt season, or does that happen late? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think the pumps are already happening. If you look at what's going on in the trenches, the Solana meme coin trenches, obviously we know there's like 10 million coins launched a day, only like two do anything. But, rewind 3 months ago, and the pump in the Solana trenches were considering going to 1 million. That was like, wow, it went to 1 million. Now I'm seeing runners that are going to 10 million. We had one a few weeks ago, I think went to like 50 mil. So the Solana trenches are coming back to life. Pre-sales, I think, are going to take a little bit longer, but I'll tell you what always happens, right? People want to feel comfortable. They want to feel like if they invest in something, there's a pretty good chance it's going to do well. And so those early calls, those early pre-sales, those early, Solana runners, not a lot of people are trusting them. Not a lot of people are jumping in. But I will tell you this. Some of my best investments were the ones where kind of YOLO'd it. Market wasn't looking great, but maybe it was starting to reverse. I was not really fully trusting it. Wasn't trusting the market that well, but I decided to invest anyway. Some of those turned out to be the best investments that I made. So, yeah, I don't think we get like full-on craziness and mania until, we're at least 1 month, 6 weeks into whatever this reversal is. But for those who want to take a risk and get in early, it can be very, very lucrative. Not financial advice.
I think we're going to have our next bout of volatility here in the next day or two. The Fed Reserve changes March 17th, one day, 9 hours away. Near zero chance of any kind of rate cut or rate raise. Probably no change comes into effect, but it'll be all about what Powell and the Federal Reserve wants to say. That's only one day, 9 hours away. What kind of volatility do you expect to see? I think the market is pricing that no change is going to occur and probably thinks hawkish talk is coming because the chance of a cut in April dropped from 7% down to 3%. And meanwhile, once we have the new Fed chair in place by June 16th, 31% chance of a cut. I think this should be even higher because if we get a new Fed chair in May and they don't do a cut in June after a no change in March and April, what is the Fed even doing? What is the point?
I think the bettors are reacting to the here and now rather than trying to forecast what's likely to happen over the next few months. Because they're looking at energy markets and they're saying, well, there's no way the Fed is going to cut rates into rising oil prices, which are inherently inflationary. Okay, and that may all be true. But it seems like not enough people are betting on the war ending and energy prices crashing, which is just a probable thing happening than oil prices staying high. Don't you have to admit that? No one truly knows the future. It's a 50-50 toss-up what's going to happen with oil. It could crash if this war ends in a couple days, and it will end, I think, in the next week or two. So I'm not looking at the June with any sort of seriousness because I don't think people know. They're too trapped in the moment. As to March, as to April, look, it's all going to come down to what Powell says. It's all going to come down to what he says at the conference like it always does. I don't think they're cutting rates, but if he comes out and says, you know, we're still a little bit above our target when it comes to interest rates, we're forecasting 2 or 3 more cuts this year, I think markets look very favorably upon that. But if he comes out and says, no, we're probably not cutting it all, inflation, we're still worried, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, volatility. I'd be worried about it.
And then it comes down to how much does the market actually believe what he is saying versus the data they are seeing. So near zero chance of a cut. I still think they should cut, but I doubt it. What kind of volatility happens in one day, 9 hours from now, we shall see. But I think the market is already priced in no change. So as long as there's no change, I think we're okay. What if the surprise cut happens, though, guys? That would be explosive. I don't know. Guess we got to wait for June to have any kind of fun around here to get some cheap interest rates for your credit cards, for your mortgages, for your car loans. That's what it's more and more looking like as Powell still does not want to waver from his TDS syndrome that he's got going on with Trump. I'm going to let Crypto Amaru come back. Let's take a quick look here. 2267 for Ethereum, 73,469 for Bitcoin. A little bit of a red candle, as I'm assuming the Nasdaq is down a little off the highs as well. Nasdaq up 1.12%, down a little bit after its rally. This is starting to look a little more bearish as you're below the moving averages, but again, the market's still holding up pretty strong considering the Black Swan war with Iran. They want to go higher. They just need a reason to go higher. Will this war subside? Will oil prices drop? We shall see. Talking about oil, I mean, the Strait of Hormuz, by the day, I think is less and less meaningful and impactful. We talked about how Saudi Arabia is diverting, shipping its oil from the East Coast through the Strait of Hormuz to the West Coast through the Red Sea. The United States continues to drill, baby, drill, and Venezuela oil is coming online as well. I don't know. I think Iran might be in trouble, and maybe that 20% of the oil that they produce and ship out through there, I think that could be dwindling and shrinking as the days go on. Why didn't Saudi Arabia just do this earlier? I guess it is simply easier from the East Coast. But they're starting to divert, understanding that Iran is crazy. And whether we or not we win right now, they probably have the same situation 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years from now. So you might as well figure it out in the meantime.
Yeah, I think long term, there may be some more resiliency in the oil markets after this, as countries are going to realize, wait, we can't just kind of sit on our laurels and just accept the status quo. We have to sort of build out some resiliency, whether that's drilling more pipelines in different places, new trade partners, whatever the case may be. So long-term, the oil market's going to be fine. Short-term, I also think it's going to be fine. I mean, I know everyone is so caught up in the moment in watching every headline when it comes to Iran war. And does this attack on Tel Aviv, or does this attack on Dubai, or does this attack on wherever mean the war is going to go on indefinitely? Guys, the answer is no. The war is going to end. Probably within the next 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even sooner. So I'm not worried at all about long-term oil prices. And as soon as this thing ends, as soon as we declare victory, maybe you get 1 to 2 more days of Iran lashing out to look strong and tough. but that thing's going to end. Oil prices are going to crash. Strait of Hormuz are going to open back up again. And eventually this will be a distant memory, and anyone who sold the dip will regret it.
Oil now back below $93, down to $92.96, so it is trending lower. We shall see. I want to see it back into the 80s. That's when I'll feel good about it. That means gas prices will stabilize. You'll probably be around $3 a gallon here in St. Louis and wherever that means for your city or your state. It's kind of funny when the war broke out that all the Californians were like, oh my God, it's $9 a gallon here. Like, they're so disillusioned at what reality is. Like, that has nothing to do with oil prices. That has everything to do with your local government and all the gas taxes you have, because the average at that time was $3.50 a gallon for the country, and meanwhile you're paying $9. So maybe it has something to do with the democratic policies and all the taxation you have going on there versus the oil price itself.
Yeah, gas taxes, also, stupid green policies, which basically meant that oil producers and the oil refiners, which there were many in California, have been forced to leave the state due to overregulation, over taxes, etc. So if you are listening from the U.S., you do not want to vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028. Rubio, I think, is looking good. I think maybe even stronger candidate than J.D. Vance now, after watching Rubio sort of run circles around all these nations from a geopolitical standpoint. He's looking super strong. But in any event, Dems are lost in the wilderness. Republicans are here to cut your taxes, cut regulations, bring prosperity, bring peace to the world once we get rid of these wars. Peace through strength. I know it sounds a little crazy, but it does make sense if you think about it. The Dems have no chance in 28 as far as I'm concerned. Their ratings are in the gutter. They don't stand for anything good. So yeah, enough politics though. I don't think we need to talk more politics now that the trenches are active again.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll let you wrap this up since your daughter's sick, but it was nice to talk about the trenches, talk about some small cap products, platforms, and tokens that have launched and will be launching. And we probably will have to talk a little bit about politics because Nick Shirley, who broke all the fraud cases up in Minnesota, is apparently going to be talking about the fraud cases and releasing a full video and documentary series on the fraud in California. So I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot about Gavin Newsom and what's going on over there. Some of the highest taxes in the nation going on in Cali. All the wealth, all the money, and yet somehow their deficit continues to grow as they continually spend it on what's seemingly nothing. Spending billions of dollars on homeless encampments, but the homeless population continues to grow. It'll be interesting to see what Nick Shirley finds over there in California and if that puts an end to Gavin Newsom's presidency run for 2028.
I read that they may be talking about something about $300 billion was stolen in California. So that would
surprise me.
That would obviously dwarf what's happening in Minnesota with the $9 billion. So yeah, we'll see what Nick Shirley drops. I think that Gavin Newsom's chances were not good anyway because of the terrible job he's done in California, and people looking around and say, I don't want a bunch of fraud in the country. I don't want gas to go up to $9 a gallon. I don't want, boys playing in school or with girls' sports and all that shit. So I don't see the Dems winning. We'll see what happens, but I'm feeling pretty bullish about the Republicans' long-term chances, especially once we get this war wrapped up. Gas prices drop to like $70 a barrel, and we get back to up only in the financial markets. All right, brother, I gotta get going. My daughter keeps buzzing me on this walkie-talkie. She's sick. Been a fun stream today. We'll be back tomorrow with another dose of hopium, positivity, and beach vibes. And until then, guys, see you on the beach.
Peace.